All right, guys, thank you for joining. We've got a lot of things going on in the background, so we really appreciate you guys being patient for the last week or two while we work through this stuff. As you guys know, last week, I believe last Monday, we made the decision to freeze PAKA. There were a bunch of variables that went into that decision, but overall, it was due to our capitalization being below what it needed to be to cover the liabilities of the protocol. So what that means is the total liquidity farming was not enough to cover the daily payouts. With that dump in the market, our positions had fallen out of range, meaning some of them weren't earning at all. We had captured some IL, but weren't really comfortable taking any more, right? You capture that in permanent loss, you've essentially locked in some of the loss, and we didn't want to take any more. And to cover the claims and withdrawals, we were actually needing to pull from the farming principal, which was draining the total liquidity even further. So the scenario overall wasn't good. It just got to the point where we weren't comfortable with it. So we paused until we could look at everything individually without the pressure of claiming to make sure we could get back on track just to preserve the capital. During the downtime, we've looked at every aspect of the protocol, and we've been working in the background to make a lot of changes, improvements, some realignments of duties. And along the way, we found a few things that as a team, we should have done better. One of which was an unfortunate mistake that Keith made that resulted in a capital loss. We evaluated how we handled the CETA situation. And in hindsight, we should have stayed paused longer, as we've said in the chats. And we should have just waited until our liquidity was back to where it needed to be. At the time, our thought process was that if we were making enough in fees per day on all of our positions, that making enough to cover the daily liability, that the market would rebound, particularly the SUI price, and that we'd make that back up pretty quickly, right? We'd make up the gap. And if you guys remember, when SUI froze, I believe the SUI price was about $4.20 at the time of the pause. And then when it reopened, it was like $3.08, so something like that. So a multi-million-dollar impermanent loss that we basically had to take a hit on to move it down to start earning again. And of course, once it finally restarted, volumes did not recover quickly, and it just didn't play out like we thought. So making up that gap became more and more difficult. So you combine that with some market turbulence that we've had, and it just made it harder to stay in range. And this is the end result. As you guys know, there was the Israel-Iran thing. There was several factors that were mini black swans that caused the market to have major swings. And that's not really advantageous for farming. Any of you guys have farmed realize very fast moves to the upside or downside are not good for farming. So it just made it more difficult. So you guys have actually heard most of that, but here's how we're moving forward. We decided to rebuild the site from scratch. There was just a lot of little issues that we've had, and we figured, we couldn't fix some of those while live. But now that we have some downtime, we're going to resolve those issues. So wallet connect issues or little tricky things with the UI, chain switches, all that stuff, all that we're going to try to resolve. So we're pretty deep through that. We are reevaluating how PAKA pays out in order to ensure that everyone stays whole. So there will likely be a rate reduction. I know we've talked about that a lot in the chats. Most people are open to it in order to cut the downtime. They're okay with taking a reduced rate. So we're not sure exactly what that rate will be yet. The math will make that decision. So give us a little bit of time on that. We have a very advanced calculator that we're plugging in all the different metrics. And shortly, probably around this time next week, we should be able to outlay the plan of exactly what we're going to do, what changes we're going to make. And then when we turn around and relaunch on that full fresh site, all the new features and stuff like that will be available. All the rates will be fully explained. It'll all be laid out extremely well. In addition to that, we're actually going to make some structural changes to the team. We brought on Sasha for contracts. That should be a name you guys are all familiar with. We've worked with Sasha in the past. He's a great community member, great reputation, and he was instrumental when we first did the contracts. He was super helpful then. So we brought him on to help there. We brought on JC Crypto to help us work on the website, both the front end of the UI and the back end, to help us with some additional analytics and stuff like that. Keith has already moved the contract stuff over to Sasha. So Sasha's fully in control of that now. Keith's given JC access to the server. So that's all really been shifted over. So Keith's duties right now, he is still working with some of the capital, but at the end of this month, he's going to send that back over. We'll add that to our other pools. And Keith is actually going to move on and do some other things he wants to focus on, like RideFi. He's also got a family situation happening right now, so he just wants to spend more time with family. So we wish him well in his future endeavors and RideFi, and then also wish his family well. So he'll be rotating out and rotating all his duties over to the new team members by the end of the month. And we will just continue to rebuild PAKA, get everything running again full speed. And that's what we're committed to, making sure that everyone at the end of this road gets all their capital back, that's preserved and is in profit. So in the end, that's really our whole goal. And I want to make sure people understand that. In the end, if you got done with PAKA and you've been in it for the last year or so, 2 years, and you leave PAKA, you've got all your money back and profit. And the only thing you can really say about it is, I wish I would have made more. That's something we can live with. That's really an ideal scenario. We'll make everyone whole and we can march forward. We are making a lot of improvements and adding additional things to the site so we can ensure that it sticks around for the long haul. So as you guys can see, both myself and Lee jumped on the call real quick to record this video. He has been traveling. I know the timing has been super inconvenient, but he's done a really good job of staying in touch and being involved in all these decisions to move PAKA forward. But I'll give him a chance to talk.
Yeah, cheers, Scott. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the video. I know it's been a long drawn out time, but obviously crypto time is a lot faster than normal time. So thanks for being patient with us. Just a couple of points I want to hit on what Scott said, and one of those things was the functionality of what you're going to get is so much slicker, faster, and better. And like Scott said, a lot of the issues that you've been suffering, we struggled to get done whilst live. So now that we've paused, we've got a new, I think you touched on Wallet Connect. One of my bugbears, and I'm sure a lot of people in the chat have had the same issue, is with mobile and connections when you're on mobile, and that includes Chromebooks and iPads and other smart devices. Those issues are pretty much gone away, which is a godsend for all of us mobile users, because I am a heavy Tandem user when it comes to PAKA. So you're gonna feel a lot more slicker, faster, and a much more unique experience when connecting to our new DApp. And regarding team changes, we have pivoted and we have to do certain things to, again, like Scott said, the goal is to make people whole and in profit. So whatever we need to do to bring that to fruition has to be done. And I always, me and Scott always quote, when you're in business, if your business has an issue and you don't deal with it, we all know what happens. You've seen it with the big corporations and the small PLCs and limited companies and LLCs from England to Australia and the Americas. If we don't react, things go bad. So what we've done is reacted, and I know it's not the best situation for anyone to be paused. We're heavily invested in it too, as just normal people with friends and family and all of that good stuff. So we understand people's frustrations, but whatever we do is for the good of PAKA and its investors. And we feel that with the new team structure, we've got an actual workflow that we can deal with properly. I'm back literally in like 4 days. It's been difficult for me, but I've tried to keep in touch as much as I can. But Scott and the team and the admins have done absolutely fantastically well, fielding questions, answering people, supporting people. And just a quick reminder, don't share your seed phrase with anyone. We haven't got a support team. We never had, and we never will have. Our admins are the support team. They will not DM you. Don't connect to nefarious sites, and we'll look after you as best we can. Thanks for arranging this call as well, Scott. It's been much needed, and I want to thank you and the others for all the time you've spent covering my untimely visit to America, which unfortunately was booked months ago, so we had to do it. But we're here. We're going to come back stronger. Don't listen to the noise that you hear all over the place. We're doing the best as we can for you as investors. So stay safe, and we're here for you.
Yeah, thanks for the recap, Lee. That's true. Crypto time's kind of crazy. The funny thing is we paused last week, so it really hasn't been that long. Seems like it's been forever, but crypto time is just a little bit different. But we'll get this thing back up and running. And like he said, I mean, if you don't make changes as you're going, then it could die. The markets aren't quite the same as they were. The ranges that we were farming earlier, the production of the farms. There's a lot of different things. It changes over time. And I'd rather have a pause and have everyone be mad at us that we're paused from time to time and make sure we preserve the capital and everybody makes money than just let it go, see how long we can go, and then end up folding up shop. And we just, like most other projects, I mean, there's very few projects that have done well over time. Even a lot of these trusted devs that are out there, even some that have been critical of PAKA, go back and look at the projects they're in or the projects that they've created themselves and let us know which ones are thriving. And so, it doesn't come without issues. You just have to pivot, right? And, we work with stable coins. And so we've always got that. We're not draining a token down to zero, which is what commonly happens with these projects. So because we're set up a little bit different, we can't just let it drain and then just say, well, there's no value to the token anymore. We're done here. We need to pause when we need to pause, and we'll move the pieces around the chessboard in order to be in a situation where everyone can be made whole and make profit. So it is what it is. I know it's not ideal to be paused, like we've said, but we're doing everything we can to make this happen. And we got it's pretty dialed in. So I think what we'll do now real quick is we're far enough along with the site that we can probably show you like the vaults and just kind of show you some of the functionalities. I know other projects have gone down and promised new websites and they were DDoS and 18 other things. We really have been working nonstop in the background, and we've got, JC's been working like an animal in the background to help me set up the site in the way that's needed. He's really spearheaded this, taking the lead, so he deserves all the credit. So if you guys see him in the chats, make sure to thank him for how functional this is. I'll show you guys some screenshots and stuff, maybe show you the site so you can see that we've been working on it, and then we'll leave it here. We'll have another update next week, and then we'll pretty much get everything dialed in to where you guys understand what the new rates, metrics will be. Anything else that we've changed, we'll get that all announced, but you guys will be able to tell that we're back on track and in good shape. Let me pop that up on the screen here. All right, guys, so here is a section of the new site. There's going to be some other improvements and stuff here visually that we'll do, and we'll make the site look better. And we've got some other stuff that we need to build out, dashboard, all sorts of stuff. So the analytics that we were unable to do before, really, frankly, it was the way the old site was built out. We really needed to rebuild it. It wasn't capable of producing the data that we needed. So while we tried to put some stuff out there over time, we really just weren't using the right medium to display that stuff. So those changes have been made here. This is the new marketplace. You can buy stakes here. You can sell your stakes. If you want to look at the metrics of a stake, normally right now you guys are jumping over and you're jumping to the chats and you're trying to find the Telegram bot that's telling you what the daily percentage is and all those details. That's now going to be available for you here. So you don't have to go to another spot to find that. That's going to be here for you. If you look to go buy a stake, that will also show you all the details. Again, we'll clean all this stuff up so it's perfect by the time we launch it. As you can see, we're working hard in the background. It explains your bonus. You understand the terms, all that basic stuff that was there before, just, in a better package and a little bit smoother. The cross-chain functionality is also a lot easier to go from base or Sonic or whatever, flip back and forth. We're not seeing the same errors we had before there. So I think this switch to a different style is actually going to be super advantageous just for the ease of use of customers. If you want to sell stake, you can come in here. These buttons will do the same thing as the old ones did, kind of give a percentage off, but it breaks down all the details here of the metrics of what you're selling. This was always a bug because, what you're ultimately looking to do is you're looking to make your stake competitive in the market. And you were just having to kind of guess before, what's the appropriate rate. You didn't want to list things for too good of a deal or whatnot. And so that's there. Users will be able to basically come in here and then search and filter by what the best profitable rate is. And so that will drive some competitiveness in the market. So anyway, I won't dig too far into this because we're still working on it. But as you guys can see, we're grinding away at it, and it's gonna be awesome when we're done. So that's the update for today. We're reworking the team, handing over some duties, shuffling things around, trying to make the site better during the downtime. During the downtime where we have no claims, we're just using the bag that we have to increase the capital. We need to make up our capitalization to a point where we are comfortable, where everyone can be paid out. We can get back to business and it's not going to be a factor where we're going to be pausing all the time or concerned about one thing or another, right? We're going to play it a little bit more on the conservative side because I don't want to pause again. We don't know exactly what the markets are going to hand us. We'd like to be able to play a little wider ranges, but wider ranges aren't paying. So there is that happy medium where we have to make a choice. So that's what we're working on right now. We need more feedback from the market of what we're looking at, and that's why we need a little more downtime. So we're making up the capital, so it puts us in a really good position. We're making some changes to how PAKA works. We're making some team changes, and we've completely redone the website. So that's where we're at. We hope everyone is happy with the changes they're seeing. Again, we know downtime is not ideal, but this is the scenario we're in. Businesses run into issues sometimes. We're not going to Ponzi this thing into the ground. So if we have to pause and reevaluate and fix it, we're doing it. And we're trying to make sure that this is the last pause. So that's where we're at. Lee, I'll give you a second here if you want to say anything here at the end, but appreciate everyone's patience. It's been super helpful. The group has been great.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be a tad controversial here, but there's a couple of points that I would just want to sort of add into what you've just said and bootstrap it. So when Scott talks about Ponzi and things, I just want to expand on it. We've said this in chat many times. We do not use Ponzonomics. We're not a Ponzi. We could have lied and said, here's a 0.5 promo, because we know for a fact we could have bought on millions of dollars and just, sort of fibbed our way through it and took all that capital on and still been in the same position. We didn't do that. That's one of the reasons the marketplace is around. And obviously the new site that Scott just showed you, I think, is stunning. It's fast, it's efficient, it's precise. And you, as users, can sort of feel how it works, as opposed to, again, like Scott said, I'm sorry to keep saying that, referring to Scott, but when you have to go to the Telegram bot, get your calculator out, work out what's this, do I sell it for that? Am I making a loss on that? It's all there in front of you. And then we move into the expert farmers in the chat, the Telegram chat, where the other day it was all super green and you could see that we were probably slightly overbought. There was expert farmers telling us what to do, but as the markets retrace, like we know they would, we don't see any of the expert farmers, because CLP farming is not as easy as it looks. If we had perfect spaghetti sideways action, we'd all be, kosher, wouldn't we? But it goes up, it goes down, and it's up to us to manage that capital as best as we can. So it is a difficult task. And when we see a metric that we don't like, we have to react and act upon it. So obviously, we've also seen people on YouTube telling us that, we should put all of our 21.6 million, whatever it was, into Bitnest or DexFi or whatever. But what people need to realize is we do not offer referral schemes. We do not send capital to places where we feel it might be a little bit risky. We as a team are fully focused on paca.finance. All the other noise doesn't mean anything to us. As long as you understand that we work for you every single day, whether that's in development, whether it's in metrics, analytics, and CLP farming, everything we do is for the community. And we spend countless hours per day talking about every single piece of the market. And it's very difficult to predict timing the market, not timing the market. Overall, our main focus is to be open, honest, transparent, and make everyone whole. And again, everyone that's involved in the team, from the admins to Sasha to JC, and obviously Scott, our mission is to get everyone whole and make some money at the end of it. And all the noise surrounding us does not affect us. We're not really listening to it. So again, stay safe. Thanks for your patience. And thanks to Scott for holding this call. I appreciate it. Super cool.
Yep, well said, my friend. Well, we'll cap the update there. Like I said, expect an update next week that'll have some more details and data. But that's where we're at. As you guys can see, we've been doing a lot of stuff in the background and not just sitting and waiting. So we've got to get back to work on this stuff, but we'll have more updates next week. And hope you guys have a great weekend. Take care.